When I tell people what I do, I get one of three pretty weird reactions usually. Hi, I'm Dr. Glenn Pickering, the relationship doctor and the founder of the Beginning Now community. When I tell people that my job is to help people have better relationships with other people and with God, I get, like I say, one of those three sort of odd reactions. First, I get sort of the puzzled look like, well, Glenn, isn't that obvious? Aren't we born knowing how to connect other people into God? No. And if you watch all the mistakes you've made in your life about relationships and how often you tend to make those same mistakes over and over again, you'll know I'm right. We do not come to this world knowing how to do relationships right. We literally have to learn it. Second, I get sort of the condescending look like, Glenn, you have an engineering degree, a seminary degree, you're an ordained pastor, you have a PhD in counseling psychology, years of experience. Isn't there something like more important you should be doing, like bringing people to Christ or something? And third, I get maybe a sort of dismissive reaction, like, oh, I suppose it'd be a fine thing for Christians to work on. But see, here's the thing. For us, working on our relationships with other people and with God, they're not an okay thing, they're not a fine thing, they're not even a good thing. They're the only thing. That's all there is. When the Pharisees asked Jesus, what's the greatest commandment? He cheats, of course, and gives them two. And he does that because he understands that those two are so interrelated, it's really like one commandment. So he says, love your God with your whole heart. And the second he says is like unto it, and love your neighbor as yourself. Now, these are the only two things we need to get right. We need to get a vertical relationship with God right, and a horizontal relationship with everybody else right, and everything will fall in place just the way it's supposed to. Now, for a lot of people, sadly, a lot of Christians, their faith is really just a list of rules or a whole bunch of shoulds. And the whole thing feels like a chore or a burden or maybe just a way to judge other people. But Jesus said, my yoke is light and my burden is easy. Now here's what he meant by yoke. In the Old Testament, there are 682 laws about how you're supposed to live and especially how you're supposed to treat other people and God. And a rabbi's yoke, what the rabbi expected for the people who followed him in his community, the yoke was, how many of those 682 rules did you expect your people to do every day? And if you expected them to do all 682, of course, that your yoke was really heavy. Now, Jesus said, I have two rules. Love your God, love your neighbor as myself. My yoke is light and my burden is easy. See, our faith isn't supposed to be a burden or a chore or a way to judge people who are different than us. That's not the point. It's supposed to be a journey where we get better and better at loving God and other people. Now that requires that we drop all of the God-related crap that we've been taught so we can experience the love of the God who truly adores us. And the same sort of way it requires that we drop all of the relationship wrecking habits that we've developed over time so we can connect with powerful ways with the people in our life. Now, those two things, we do those two things right. Love our God, love our neighbor as ourselves. We start living the big, abundant life that Jesus promised to us, the life he said we were destined to have, supposed to have, that God wants us to have. Now, that kind of life, see, that's not a burden. That's not a chore. It's joyful, and it's fun, and it's so interesting. And it's also so meaningful because it turns out if we obey Jesus' two rules to love God and one another, we end up having a huge positive impact on our world. That's the life I want for you, a life filled with love and purpose. And I know how to help you get there. It's taken 40 years, but I've learned how to do those two things really well, and I know how to teach them to you. Now, not by memorizing a list of 682 rules, or by judging other people who don't do those rules, by powerfully living out the only two rules that actually matter. May you choose that life, a big, loving, abundant life that makes a difference in the world. Beginning now. You take care.